What up, guys? Episode number 5 of my Shelf by Shelf series. You can see these every Monday and Friday. Let's get into it. So, first up here, we have Bully. This is a Larry Clark film. Now, Larry Clark is not known for directing horror films, and this really isn't a horror film, but it's definitely a tale of like revenge and murder and stuff. It's super hyper realistic in the way that it's done. Stars Leo Fitzpatrick as he was in Kids, which is one of my favorite films ever. Bully is really good stuff. It really is. If you've never seen this, like, it's if I made movies, this is the type of movies that I would want to make. These ones that are just very realistic and have like such a raw nature about them. A way of looking at youth, and I've always found it super fascinating. After that, we got The Bunker. Grabbed this in FYE a long time ago, never opened it to check it out. I think it's like Nazi zombies, but I'm not 100% sure. Hold up here, guys. Let me fix the strap. Alright, after that we have Tom Hanks. We have The Burbs, which is what I have this for. The Money Pit, which I've never seen, and Dragnet, which I've never seen. Dragnet. Mainly just grabbed this for The Burbs. It was like $5 at Walmart. I absolutely love The Burbs. It's been a long time since I've watched it though. Buried Alive, starring Tobin Bell. This one was okay. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It's been a few years since I watched it, but it is on the Dimension Extreme line, which I really like this line, and I really just like the whole foreign film thing that they did with a lot of the line. It was such a cool line, and it came out in an interesting time in horror. Like, it came out when everybody was so like bitter and pissed off. Like, horror fans, if you go back and watch YouTube videos from that era, it's all complaining. And I think that the Dimension Extreme line was really missed out on being celebrated, because it was such a cool thing that they were doing. So many good films came out through it. There were some bad ones too, but Burnt Offerings, I don't think I've watched this, but I've had it in the collection for a little while. It was out of print. It's kind of easy to get now that it had a re-release and stuff, but I found it for super cheap one day. Then we got The Burrowers. This movie is really cool. It's a Western horror film. It's kind of in the vein of like Tremors or something like that. Maybe even like Tremors 4, The Legend Begins. It's a Western. There's these creatures that are kind of like underground-ish, and they kill people. After that, we have The Butterfly Effect, Ashton Kutcher, Amy Smart. This movie was amazing. I remember the first time I seen this, I fell absolutely in love with it. I just thought it was such a cool time travel movie. Very dark. If it's not a horror film, it's definitely a very, very, very dark dramatic thriller. It's just a movie that has like a frustrating feel to it. You know, the character is just dealing with this bull, and you know, he's trying to figure out a way to make everybody happy, but every time it's either making somebody unhappy or it's making himself unhappy. So in the ending, there's multiple endings, but there's one that I think is just great. After that, we have Cabin Fever. This movie was how do I say it? One of my favorite horror films. I've kind of calmed down on it a little bit since I used to say that. You know, it's a movie that really kind of got me back into horror. I was talking to this girl and she's really into it. I was in like middle school, and she was really into it, and I was like, oh yeah, I like gory, crazy shit too. So I got really into it, and then it's like one of the first DVDs that I actually started listening to the commentaries and stuff. I've listened to all the commentaries on this disc. I think there's like 4. Eli Roth was such a promising filmmaker, and he just kind of faded out a little bit. Came back last year a little bit, or 2 years ago, but still kind of faded. Cadaver Christmas. This one's really cool. This is like a zombie Christmas film. I know the filmmaker behind this film. I forget his name. Joe Zarrell. He hosts a podcast. It's called Attack of the Killer Podcast. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but it was really good. This movie's really funny too. After that, Cage Terror. Don't know anything about this. Can't even remember where I got it. It's just been in the collection. I don't even know if it's a horror film. Candyman. Candyman is classic. One of the best 90s horror films of all time. I bought this in FYE. It had water damage, as you can see there. I've been waiting for a Blu-ray to replace this, but it's not came yet, and from what I understand, the rights are kind of jacked up. But Tony Todd, Virginia Madsen, such a poetic, awesome movie. The only setback is its ending. Then we have Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh. Not really a good Candyman movie. It's okay. It has its moments, but it just doesn't have the quality that the first one does. And then you want to talk about quality, the drop off with Candyman 3 is amazing. Candyman 3 Day of the Dead is not a good movie. Enough said. After that we have Camp Massacre. Haven't watched this one yet, just been in the collection. Brie Olson. Al Snow. After that we have Argento's The Card Player. I've not watched this one yet, just hasn't been on the rotation. I've watched a lot of Argento films. If you go back like 4 years ago, I'd not seen any Argento films, but since then I've seen a bunch. After that we have Carnal. This is also known under Carnal or something. This movie is atrocious. Don't ever pick this up. I grabbed it on one of those Go Hastings sales for super cheap, and it's dreadful. After that we have Carriers. I think I got this in a horror pack. Haven't watched it yet. Case 39. This one was pretty cool. I don't really remember a whole lot about it. I watched it a couple years ago. I think it's like a Killer Kid film. It was cool though. After that we have Castle Freak, Charles Band, Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Stuart Gordon maybe? Yeah, Stuart Gordon. This movie's cool, man. It's Full Moon at its best. This is when Full Moon was a really cool label, back in the 90s and shit. Really good stuff there. It's fun. It's campy a little bit, but it's fun. Cat in the Brain. Derek sent me this. We reviewed it on the Fulci 2 podcast. Really, really good stuff. It was just an interesting movie. The way that it was done, you just don't expect a director like Fulci to really go all meta like that. After this, we have Cemetery Gates. Haven't watched this one yet at all. And then we have Cemetery Man, which we covered on the podcast from Michele Salve. So, whatever. This movie is amazing. It made our Hall of Fame. I absolutely loved it. Love this movie. Needs a Blu-ray in the US, really, for sure. After that, we have Centerfold Girls. This one was actually pretty cool, too. Not a lot of people know about this one. Dark Sky put this out. It's a really cool 70s. I think it came out in like 74. It's like a cool 70s like proto slasher type deal. Really sleazy too. Chain Letter. This one was alright. I won this in a contest on YouTube years ago. It's nothing super good or anything, but it's neat. And finally, for this part, guys, we have The Changeling, which I did watch. I'm not a huge fan of this one, like most people are. Like, people consider this one of the best horror films of all time, and perhaps it is. I don't know. Maybe it was the night that I watched it or something, but I thought it was just decent. And see you guys next time. Peace.